everyone. Welcome to Denman's Den. I'm Kathy Denman, and today is Thursday, September 25th, 2025. And today, about an hour ago, I published a new essay on my blog page on WordPress.com, and I also put it up on my Facebook page and on Denman's Den on Facebook as well. And so right now I'm going to put it in audio form so that those of you who would feel more comfortable listening to an essay than reading it would be able to do that. So without further introduction, I'm going to read to you the essay I wrote today called "What is Wrong with We the People?" We the people. Our Constitution begins with those three simple words. Words we've come to believe mean all the people, not just some. Yet, as a woman, I find myself asking, did we the people ever mean all the people? I have read our founding documents. I have studied our history. And I must question, have we really decided as a nation that we the people actually does mean all the people? 30 lines below the statement, all men are created equal, the Declaration of Independence refers to Native Americans as merciless Indian savages, making it clear the only reason our founders used the term all men was because they had a very narrow definition of who was actually human. A few years later, our founders wrote another document. They started this one with the words, "We the people of the United States." These are the first words to the preamble of the U.S. Constitution. However, if one continues reading just a few lines later in Article 1, Section 2, the passage which defines who is actually considered we the people, the first most obvious noteworthy fact is that women are not even considered nor mentioned in any form. The second noteworthy fact is that this same passage excludes Native Americans explicitly. And the third noteworthy fact is that African Americans in this passage are only counted as 3/5 of a person. Until the ratification of the 15th Amendment in 1870, only white land-owning males had the right to vote. And women were not given the right to vote until the ratification of the 19th Amendment 50 years later in 1920. If we reflect on this just briefly, it does seem that one of the main reasons our Constitution was written, besides the obvious one of forming a democratic constitutional republic, was to protect the interests of white landowning males. Now, perhaps you might be thinking, well, that was 250 years ago, and things have changed. Well, please allow me to just shed some light on a few key facts. Number one, according to extensive research done by the Pew Research Center, completed in March of 2025, women in the United States still receive only 85% of the pay that men receive for doing the same job. And remember that the Equal Rights Amendment was 3 states short of being ratified in 1982, which would have changed this continued inequality. And Pew Research also indicates that the percentage of males who are promoted over equally qualified females in the workplace is 35% higher, which means that, in general, working women still do not receive equal treatment in the United States, even now in the 21st century. Number 2, our U.S. prison systems are filled with non-white people. According to the current statistics from the Federal Bureau of Prisons, 58% of all prisoners in the United States are people of color, the vast majority of whom are serving time for drug possession and or poverty-related theft due to the continued drastic socioeconomic inequality still prevalent and protected in American society. And about 25% of those 58% are still profiled, accused, and imprisoned strictly on the basis of race. Number 3, as of 2022, the Bureau of Indian Affairs indicated that 83% of all Native Americans still live on reservations in impoverished or near impoverished conditions. Even with legalized gambling institutions allowed on Native lands, that money must be distributed throughout the tribal system, and it isn't enough to lift them out of the impoverished or near poverty conditions to which they were relegated for the past 130 years. Yes, a few things have changed, but deep in its roots, our Constitution is still protecting and favoring the interests of white landowning male Americans. Systemically, our Constitution is a white supremacist and sexist document, and even with its 27 amendments, is badly in need of revision to bring it into 21st century American society, economy, and demographic and cultural changes. Sadly, many of us would rather weaponize religion to conform it to our mythology and resulting beliefs that the United States was, quote, founded on Christian principles, end quote, and was never white supremacist, racist, or sexist. Unfortunately, what we would rather believe is a false narrative and a complete denial of the truth and reality of our country's beginnings, which confronts us in our own Declaration of Independence and Constitution. It is hard to deny the real concrete evidence written and preserved in parchment and ink and reprinted in black and white for us all to read whenever we want to or need to do so. So the next question becomes, how can we, the people, ever come together to revise our founding documents to bring them into alignment with our 21st century American society? Truthfully, before we can ever come together to make much needed revisions to the Constitution, we have to mend and heal our fractured and polarized society. Again, please allow me to share some understanding that may be a beginning in helping us to mend, heal, and come together as one people. Social psychologists have long agreed that where a common collective memory is lacking, there can be no sense of community. Collective memory can be understood as social memory that transcends individual recollections and informs how groups perceive their past and present, influencing their future pathways and possibilities. Collective memory is not so much about recalling facts as about the emotional weight attached to specific memories. Events such as wars, natural disasters, and social movements often become pivotal points around which communities build their identities. Sociologist and historian Maurice Halbwachs was one of the first to articulate the concept of collective memory in depth. He posited that our memories are influenced by our social frameworks, such as families, neighborhoods, and larger communities, which shape how we remember shared experiences. This idea underscores that collective memory is not a static entity. Rather, it evolves as societies change over time. The relevance of collective memory becomes especially significant in times of crisis or conflict. It serves as a unifying force that can rally individuals around shared experiences and common goals. By invoking collective memories, community leaders can foster resilience and solidarity when facing challenges, whether they be economic downturns or social injustices. However, in diverse societies, such as our own, conflicting collective memories can and do surface. Different groups may have divergent narratives about historical events, especially considering the United States' legacies of colonialism, slavery, and civil strife, which can lead to tensions or divisions within a community. Therefore, it becomes essential for communities to engage in dialogues about these memories to create inclusive narratives that honor multiple perspectives. In the United States, we currently have a white majority, although not by much anymore, that remembers a history mostly mythological of discovery, expansion, exceptionalism, and filled with opportunities. And then we have Native American communities that remember a history of stolen lands, broken treaties, and genocide. We have an African American community that remembers a history of slavery, Jim Crow laws, segregation, and police profiling and brutality. We have a Japanese community that remembers a history of being removed from their homes, losing their businesses and livelihoods, and placed in internment camps. We have a Latino community that remembers stolen lands, mass deportations, ICE raids, families separated at our borders, and imprisonment at deportation facilities that are nothing but concentration camps. We currently have absolutely no common collective memory to bring our society together as one nation, one people. We need to all come together and, first of all, acknowledge truthfully the evil, racism, sexism, colonialism, and white supremacy that our founders embedded into the foundations of our country. Then, if we commit ourselves to enter into a dialogue about our true shared memories of who we really are together as one people, we might be able to leave a more honorable, more beautiful, and more united legacy to our grandchildren's grandchildren and for generations to come. Then we, the people, will no longer be the polarized, decaying, corrupted, fragmented people we are now. We will become one nation, indivisible, with freedom and justice for all. Thanks for visiting my page today and listening to the essay. Please like, subscribe, share, and or comment. And I will, as I always try to do, read them and reply to all of them if I can. Well, thank you again for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time on Denman's Den.